One possible solution to the debt ceiling problem, a specially minted platinum coin worth $1 trillion.
Could minting $1 trillion coin solve the United States' debt problem?
There were all kinds of wacky ideas about how potentially you could have this massive coin. I mean, it was like out of the Stone Ages.
But I have a question for you. Would like to get your thoughts on this.
Sure.
This idea that minting $1 trillion coin is somehow going to mitigate the problems of the debt that America has and the debt default. Why can't we just be honest about this and say that America has defaulted on its sovereign obligation? Because $1 trillion, as you point out, with the roughly $30 trillion in exposure, and if you add the unfunded liabilities of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, it's closer to $300 trillion. You know, and they could just as easily say they're minting a $300 trillion coin. They still believe, Stacey, as I understand it, that this is a stopgap measure because at any moment now, and they've been saying this now for 30 years, but at any moment now, the GDP is going to start skyrocketing enough so that incomes will go up, so that the tax revenues collected, which is approximately just under $3 trillion last year, to start paying down the debt. I think that's what they think, that they're just doing a stopgap measure. They still believe that at some point, taxpayers are going to pay down that $300 trillion.
Well, Max, you used to be a magician, and they don't see what actually happens right in front of
You're saying
their
there's a malevolent intent.
Are you saying magicians are malevolent? I'm saying
saying magicians are purposefully obfuscating the truth about what it is they are presenting to the audience in a way to cause the audience to misdirect and not see how the magic is done. So you're suggesting that this $1 trillion coin is just a huge David Copperfield-like misdirection so that people don't focus on the magic of money printing to create the billionaires and the deca-billionaires. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, in a kind of Leo Strauss way. Back in the, from the Chicago school, 1950s, his thing was that basically the deplorables and the masses are really too stupid to be told this stuff. And it's better just to be kind to them by misdirecting and entertaining them with various television programs, movies.
You're saying that the policymakers in the Federal Reserve Bank and Joe Biden, the president, thinks America is so freaking stupid that they can make them believe that picking up a worthless, shiny, round object and going hocus pocus over it magically turns it into $1 trillion that they can deposit at the Federal Reserve or the Treasury to somehow mitigate that $300 trillion debt crisis?
Yes, that is pretty much monetary policy.
Quick, draw $1 trillion platinum coin for Winky Dink so that he can save America.
Do it on the screen right now. Way! You rescued the economy.
That's really cynical on the part of the policymakers out there who don't seem to care about the collateral damage of their fraud and their really bad magic and Winky Dink show. Gosh, golly, I'm upset.
Well, I think all empires and stuff ultimately end in a whole grab bag of magic tricks. Back to the Roman Empire, clipping their coins. That was like a magic trick, right? And at the end of the day, we all get to this point. In terms of the cynicism that you mentioned, this headline here was interesting because it ties in with an audience. When you're a magician, you lose your audience when they're all cynical, right? They know what you're doing. You want them to be amazed and wow, and oh, this is great. Well, when they start going, whatever. Most Americans today believe the stock market is rigged, and they're right. New research shows insider trading is everywhere. So far, no one seems to care. No one seems to care, they say, except for, of course, on Keiser Report, where we see beyond the magic tricks.
Yeah, it's a remarkable statement for a couple of reasons. Number one, the job of journalism is to highlight these things in a way that would get people to care, right? I mean, they're saying that the markets are completely fraudulent, and instead of digging into more specifically how and the damage this causes, they're shrugging their shoulders and saying, what's fraud these days in America. There's nothing that's, as I've said many times, the business model of America is fraud. And if you took fraud out of America's business life, you would have nothing left except a bunch of, Native American reservations in North Dakota somewhere laughing hysterically, and they predicted the whole thing.
Well, the thing is this is a cantillionaire economy. And though the cable news will say that most people are deplorable and dumb, the fact is they see what's right in front of them. They see the emperor has no clothes. They see the Cantillon effect. They understand the magic trick now. They're totally bored. And, you see that in many, many openly corrupt dictator economies.
Right. So the second point is that it's not that they don't care. It's that the vast majority of Americans are desperately trying to mimic and ape the fraud that they see being committed by Goldman Sachs, Jamie Dimon, all the Wall Street bankers, the Federal Reserve Bank, 2 of them caught for insider trading just in the last few weeks, right?
More than that, there's another one.
Okay, so the bankers, the central bankers are being caught trading on inside information. Nancy Pelosi caught trading on inside information, right? So the Americans, it's not that they don't care. They're like, how do we cash in on this inside information? And so they're desperate because inflation now is creeping in and they can't afford the food, the shelter, the clothing and the energy anymore. Their only way to survive is to commit fraud. And that's when an empire truly collapses, is when the majority of the population, like we have in America today, in order to survive, they have to commit fraud. It's like Victor Hugo's masterpiece, Les Miserables. The street urchins, to survive, had to steal. And that's the great dramatic course of this great novel. And in America, the majority of Americans, in order to survive, they must steal. And the media is this media saying, it's okay to steal, we'll absolve you from stealing and be the worst moral, unethical piece of garbage you possibly can, America, because that's the only way you're going to survive.
Well, let's look at what's happening over the past year and a half, 2 years across America. You see it in San Francisco, New York. Gangs of young guys mostly, just going in and robbing everything. And what they're told, the shop owners are told not to stop them, to just let them do it. So it is Les Miserables. This is the end game. So nevertheless, the problem is it's fun at the beginning, because all inflations are fun at the beginning because you feel rich, you're getting rich, especially domestically America versus the rest of the world, because we can print more money. So we can be like, send us all your goods, we're rich. But then the Cantillionaire class, who owned more assets in the beginning, start to just fly away with everything.